Welcome to my channel. I'm Scott, and if you want to catch my newest video, I post one every day. In this video, I am going to walk you through the process of valuing Plains All American Pipeline stock by analyzing their financial statements and dissecting their financial ratios so we can determine if it's a buy or a sell. Plains All American Pipeline is a master limited partnership. In the U.S., the company operates in oil pipeline transportation, marketing, and storage. In Canada, its operations are liquefied petroleum gas. Also in the states of Michigan and Louisiana, its operations are in natural gas storage. The company owns 37 million barrels of storage capacity and 15,000 miles of crude oil pipelines. Its parent company is Plains GP Holdings, which is a holding company. The ticker for that company is PAGP. The company's headquarters are in Houston, Texas. Let's get started with the model. This is a mid-cap company, 6.1 billion market cap. They're trading at $8.37 a share, and they have 728 million shares outstanding. Let's look at the financials. The way you value a company is you estimate the free cash flows into the future, and then you discount those numbers back to today's value. That's what we're doing in this video. And free cash flow is cash flow from operations minus capital expenditures. So you can see the company has nice free cash flow every year, about $1 to $1.5 billion. Net income is the profit and loss on the income statement. They also have good net income, except in the trailing 12 months that was negative $1.8 billion. Their revenue grows a lot from 2017 to 2018, but it's pretty steady after that. This is the company's income statement. The top line is the revenue, the sales. Below that is the cost of revenue. These are the expenses directly related to generating the revenue. And the difference between those two numbers is the gross profit. Their gross profit in the trailing 12 months was lower when compared to 2019 and 2018. Below that is operating expenses, and below that is operating income. The company has over $400 million of interest payments on their debt. Then there's other income and expenses, and that was a big negative in the trailing 12 months, negative $2.8 billion. So their pre-tax income for the trailing 12 months was negative $1.6 billion. In prior years, it was positive. So that gives them a negative $1.8 billion of net income. The main reason the company had negative net income was they passed through a $2.5 billion goodwill impairment. Goodwill is when you acquire a business for more than its net assets. So you book the difference onto your balance sheet as goodwill. Each year, a company has to test for goodwill impairment. When you look at a company's income statement, you should focus on operating income because everything below that is not attributable to their operational business. So it can really skew the numbers. This is the company's statement of cash flows. The top line is operating cash flow. That's how much cash the company generates from its operational business. Then you have capital expenditures, which are investments in property, plant, and equipment. Operating cash flow minus CapEx gives you your free cash flow. And that's fairly consistent, around $1 to $1.5 billion a year. In 2017, the company issued $2.5 billion of capital stock. It looks like they used that money to pay down debt because they paid $2 billion of debt that year. In 2018, they paid down a lot of debt as well. But in 2019 and 2020, it looks like they took on some more debt. The most important part of any business is their operating cash flow, and this company generates lots of operating cash flow. In the trailing 12 months, they generated $2.4 billion. The way you calculate that, you start with net income, that was negative $1.6 billion. Then you have to add back the non-cash items from the income statement. They passed through a $633 million depreciation expense. We also have to add back the $2 billion of goodwill, but sometimes Yahoo Finance doesn't pick up all the details. So even though the company reported a $1.6 billion loss, they actually generated $2.4 billion of cash flow. Operating cash flow is a better indicator of a company's health than net income because it adjusts for the non-cash items. Let's look at the capital structure. $13 billion of equity, $10 billion of debt. So they're 57% equity, 43% debt, and their WACC is 9.9%, and that's a discount rate we're going to apply to the future cash flows. We estimated 4 years of future free cash flows. We also estimated terminal value, which is all cash flows past year 4, that's $11 billion. We discounted those numbers back to today using the weighted average cost of capital. we get a value of the company of $10 billion. We divide that by 728 million shares. And we get a calculated stock price of $14. They're trading at $8, so they're trading at a 41% discount. It's a buy according to the model. Simply Wall Street is even higher than me. They're at 1763, so they're saying the stock is even more undervalued. I think I was pretty conservative with my future free cash flow estimate, but I'm still coming up with a stock price a lot higher than they're trading at. The stock price was over $30, but it's been getting hammered over the years. It's at a really low point, so it looks like it's at a great value. In 2020, the company cut its dividend in half, from 36 cents to 18 cents. It still pays an 8.6% dividend yield, and the company pays out 43% of its free cash flow. That's annual dividend payment over free cash flow. And they do have a pretty high beta, 2.19, so the stock moves a little more than 2 times the market. The stock has gone down 49% in the past 52 weeks, much worse than the S&P 500, which went up 14%. The low was $3, the high was $17.48, and the stock is trading above its 200-day but below its 50-day moving average. About 6.5 million shares are traded each day for this stock, and of the 728 million shares outstanding, only 461 million are on float. 46% of the shares are held by institutions. Almost 5% of the shares on float are shorted. If you invested $10,000 into this company 10 years ago, you would have doubled your money after a few years, but if you kept holding on, you would have been down to $5,000 today. Its parent company, Plains GP Holding, owns 34% of their stock. Then Alps Advisors, Harvest Fund, Tortoise Capital, and Goldman Sachs. Let's look at the financial ratios. The average PE in the market's 11, the median is 14. PE is stock price over earnings per share. To calculate earnings per share, that's net income over shares outstanding. They have negative net income, so they have negative PE. Price to sales is stock price over sales per share. They're at 0.2, so investors are paying 20 cents for $1 revenue. That's a really low price to sales ratio. Price to book is stock price over book value per share. They're at 0.5. And the way you calculate book value per share is equity over shares outstanding. Equity is assets minus liabilities in the balance sheet, and they have $13 billion of equity. 9.8 billion of tangible equity, because they have 2.5 billion of goodwill and 700 million of other intangibles on their balance sheet. Interest coverage ratio is EBIT over interest expense. They can almost cover their interest payments 4 times. ROE is net income over equity. They have negative net income, so they have negative ROE. Current ratio is current assets over current liabilities. They can cover 90% of their current liabilities with their current assets. Their current assets are 3.6 billion of receivables and 600 million of inventory. It is possible the company may need some debt to run their business over the next 12 months. They did have positive 1.2 billion of free cash flow, but they have negative 400 million of working capital, plus they have a $500 million dividend, so they don't have much of a cushion. The best way to look at ratios to compare them to similar companies, I've done videos of 44 midstream companies, and Plains is right here. And Plains has a worse PE ratio than the average in the industry. They are doing much better in price to sales and price to book than the average. They're doing worse in current ratio, worse in ROE because of that negative net income. They are lower in debt than average, but they have a lower market cap and a lower dividend than the average. To summarize, I do have them trading at a 41% discount. The stock price has come down so much, so it looks like a good buy. I rank their free cash flow 7 out of 10. They're fairly steady and strong. Revenue I rank 7 out of 10. They're also fairly steady and strong. The ratios I rank 4 out of 10 because of the bad PE, the bad ROE, and below 1 current ratio. But this definitely seems like a good buy. It's a decent sized company. It pays a nice dividend. But of course, these midstream stocks can be a little risky, especially with oil prices so volatile. So let me know what you think. Give this video a like, subscribe, or comment below. Also, if you'd like to get a custom valuation or just support the channel, you can become a member by clicking on the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.